Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
It's so weird hearing someone from UK. I'm just barely ever get students from UK.
Oh,
I've got like
really?
maybe six or seven. Yeah, most of them are NA or like from, Australia, etc.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
actually nice. It's just weird to have a UK lesson at this time as well, because this isn't normally my like last slot of the day.
Ah, okay. Well,
You're sleeping.
this is the
Sleeping
only
in now.
time I have that's when I'm actually free.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just busy throughout the day most of the time.
Oh wow. Um, what do you normally do? Like,
Well, today I just had a bunch of errands to run, so
mhm.
it was just hard to find it. Like it was just really hard to kind of reschedule things around and just yeah, just get something going hit that today for today.
No, that's okay. Could you link me? Could you start off and link me your tracker.gg? It's just a general
Yeah,
place that I
sure.
can get all my students to sort of do it.
I probably should have linked that earlier actually, now that I think about it.
That's all right. Ah, thank you for that.
No
So how
problem.
long have you, so you're Ascendant 2, you got an insane KD. It's a Brimstone, it's a stim beacons, must be. Those assists, man, you get so many of those. Um, yeah, just tell me a little bit about your background, sort of, your Valorant experience,
Um,
etc.
well, I've been playing since beta. I have, to be honest, I haven't really tried to push too much, I guess, in the early stages of Valorant.
Hmm.
But I think I'd say episode 3 is when I actually started trying to push and whatnot.
Okay.
But I was kind of just basing on my skill off of what I've played when I because I started off playing FPSs in when I was playing CS:GO.
The best game.
Yeah, best game
The
ever.
best. 10,000 hours I've sunk into that game.
Yeah,
That's
but
way too many.
yeah, my first FPS experience was CS:GO, so everything was just off of that really. So I never really tried to improve in terms of a Valorant sense,
Hmm.
and and it's just more of me. I just want to be able to use the session to be able to since for me I'm more of a support player, and I feel like as a support player it's probably easier to IGL. So I
Yeah, I mean, IGL sorry to cut you off,
yeah,
didn't
no,
mean to.
go for it, go for it.
So IGL in terms of ranked versus in a team is definitely very different.
Yeah,
So I'd say what is better for me to sort of look at is definitely still, the strat call and stuff like that. Teach you how to do that a little bit. But I'll probably take a look into your personal gameplay as well, because where you're ascendant, it's normally like a few minor things that you have to like fix.
yeah,
So it's not normally any massive holes in your gameplay. It's normally just a case of, you've got these little things that you don't
yeah,
realize that are like making like a big difference. And when they add up, like it'll be like a few things.
yeah. And
You know,
I definitely noticed that I feel like I can improve on certain aspects of my game because in terms of aim, like I don't have the greatest aim, but I feel like I can hold my own when it comes to like aim battles. But in terms of like just decision making, shot calling, all that stuff, I feel like that's where I can improve on the most, since that's kind of my play style, to be kind of more methodic and kind of play the map, and just be aware of like the surroundings.
yeah. So again, like I'll just sort of a little talk a bit about IGLing. It's like when I do these sessions, I do normally do it with people that play in scrims or in like teams, because it's more complicated and they have four people around them that will listen to everything they say a lot of the time. So it's way easier to pull off more complicated ideas and go a little bit in depth because they spend a lot of time practicing. But I can
Yeah,
still talk about how to like shot call for ranked aspect, but you have to bear in mind that sometimes you're just going to get people that don't listen, and there's no way you're ever going to force those people to listen to you. Like if they don't want to, they won't, and it's not
yeah,
worth wasting the time. So that's like what sucks about ranked. I wish it wasn't that way. If it was up to me, I'd love to play as a team every game. That's
yeah,
why people, like for me, I don't play too much ranked at the moment because I'm playing like private stuff because people actually communicate
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
No,
social
I
luxury.
100% agree.
Um, but you can still obviously try, and even just a little direction and putting your team, make them just play that a little bit together. Like if the enemy team doesn't have that, you're actually gonna see like quite a lot of result with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and stream this over to you.
Yep.
I don't know what's been so bind VOD. We'll do bind. Do you have any questions now or?
Not at the moment. I think I'll probably have some questions as like the session goes on.
Yeah, can you see this?
Yeah. Let me just double check. Yep, I can see this.
Perfect. So, in this game, are you solo queue?
I am trio queue.
Okay, that's fine. Who are you trio queue with?
The Sage and the, was it Breach? Yeah, Sage and Breach.
Okay.
And I think my account is voice chat banned. I don't know why. I mean, I do say a bit of meaningful things, but I don't think it warranted a ban. Like I'm not a
It's
typically
not even. It's just based on reports. So if
yeah.
you spam report someone that doesn't say anything, they just find a way to ban you.
I'm
So
not a
you, wait,
toxic
you said
person,
you
bro.
was banned in this game.
Because this game was actually today. Like I actually got in a couple of games today, so I think I've just been voice banned. So I wasn't able to come with the randoms in the team.
So okay, so you booked an IGL session when you were banned, and it's okay. The VODs just so you don't talk to the two randoms
Not
at all.
as not really, no.
Okay, so obviously that makes it a lot harder because
Yeah,
you don't have communication with two characters that are very good, important to any strat, which is your initiator, Sova, and your entry is the most important. It doesn't matter what strat you do if you don't have an entry, you're gonna
yeah,
struggle. Um, but we'll sort of take a little look at both into what's it called into your actual gameplay and a bit of shot calling because I
yeah,
think like we can't go into like maximum detail of IGLing because it's very ranked. It has to be very simple. Um, General thing with ranked, it's very hard to play slow. Like playing a wide default, which is the way that you would want to play in a team a lot of the time, is
yeah,
very difficult. So what you often want to do is you kind of want to play. People play very isolated on the enemy teams in your games. So people will play by themselves. It's very rare people will play together and like have trade potential.
yep.
So playing fast in numbers from 2 choke points. So in bind, if I open up, hopefully you can still see this.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Right, so in general, you never ever want to funnel 5 up here, and you never want to funnel 5 up here. You never want to funnel 5 up here and up here, etc. You never ever want 5 going in any of these choke points.
Yeah,
What you want to do is bind really self-explanatory. You just want out of your 5 players, you need at least 2 here and at least 2 here, and you need at least 2 here and at least 2 here. Where you have the fifth guy can be a lurk, but you cannot afford to. One of the only exceptions that you can have for like not like breaking this rule is if you wanted to go 4 here and 1 here passively containing and crunching hookah late.
yeah,
So the character you would leave would be someone like Raze, and you would preserve your boombot and your nade. So as your team, so you would hope in this particular strat that you're. So let's just build up a random team comp um, to like show you how this like what this means. Let's just say we went for got Raze already, Sage, and let's just go Sky. Right, just say this was your team
yeah,
comp. What you'd do is you would position. So these guys would go up here, and you wouldn't go in. You wouldn't use anything at the start of the round on Raze. You'd probably jiggle this at the beginning, and then if there was nothing, you'd get up to about here. And then what you do, as your teammates are funneling up long, when they get to just like, so this point here is what I call an exec line. So once you go in front of this point,
yeah,
you kind of have to commit because the second they see you, if they haven't started their rotate already, they're definitely going to be starting the second you go past here. It's kind of like you've got to commit because in this you have no map control here. So of course you could take the TP, but there's a load of risks when you've got no information on the other side of the map. So
yeah,
you're way better to just commit together. Um, So they would start coming up here, just all of them together. They'd be using their util. They'd obviously, drop standard execute, just drop your 2 smokes. Maybe Brimstone drops on Molly here, and Sky just drops like a flash up here, let's say, and then Sage going in all in elbow, kind of sort of the execute. On top of that, with like reveal is kind of what you'd look at doing in this type of execute. But the point I'm saying, the main point is, you would hope that they stay in here, because once your teammates get to here, they've got line of sight of the drop, right? So then you would funnel them out with, you would use a boom bot to clear the left side. So from here, you can actually do a boom bot lineup that clears the whole of hookah. So you can basically find out. So you'd put your boom bot in, and it would from here you can clear out all of it. So, and based on where they are, you would nade. So you would hope that if they were here, you nade them out, and then you hold the cross and you kill them when they cross back. And then if they were here, you would nade here, hold this side, and they have 2 choices to either run into you or run into your team,
Yeah.
and like funnel them out of hookah. So that's one of the only like examples that you
Uh,
could do.
so in at what point would you expect a raise to actually start using util when
When
is it?
they are, as soon as they can see the drop. So
Okay.
as soon as they get line of sight of watching this guy coming out. So what might happen is they might get smoked off, right, when they're down here.
Yeah.
Because let's just say they use a Sky Dog and the enemy Brimstone's playing B, and he's going to trade out his utility to put smoke here. So what you would do is they'd be like, okay, we're smoked off. So you would pause. Maybe it's a case of this raise rotates here, and he's kind of like jiggling, this angle and this
Yeah.
angle, just buying a bit of time. Then the second that they are not smoked, you'd go in, you'd do the boom bot, you'd hold for like a second, and then you would nade, and you'd hopefully funnel them out into the rest of the team, and then they get like a free entry and they can push forward. Like that's kind of what you'd aim for.
Okay.
Because you're just doing a trap, sort of like you're letting them have a space of the map, making them feel secure, and then you're taking them out. So if you were to imagine this way round, it wouldn't work, because nothing here would make the Sky want to come out of the Sky, like push them out of hookah. Like she doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
The only way you could have Sky here is if you were to have something, like, I don't know, like you did this and then Sky was holding, maybe Sky like dogs or whatever, and then ults based on the dog, because they will die 100% of the time if you dog someone, stun them, and then you ult directly on their head where
Yeah.
they are. They'll die every time. They can't outrun the ult. So that's one of the only ways you could swap that round. But in general, you kind of want like a semi even split. Of course, in this example with hookah, you would want Raze to be one of the guys here, or Jet, because if Raze was long and you've got, let's just say you got Fade and Brim, both like it's not convenient for these 2 agents to get out of hookah because they have to jump out, and that's really difficult. When you're entering, when you're pushing aside, you kind of want to be on the floor as much as possible.
Yeah.
So at least with Raze, she has a movement ability, same as Jet, same as Omen. Phoenix and Neon have walls. These things make getting out of this window way easier. So you need to kind of pick your agent carefully. It's very hard for like agents like Brim to actually get out of hookah window. So that's why ideally you wouldn't have 3 people going hookah, because it's a really difficult choke point to get out of. I'm sure you've played games where you've played against this guy doing this, jumped out of hookah, just been slaughtered by the slow. Or one of the worst things you can play against for this is when you're playing against this with an alarm bot.
Yeah.
You jump out and you get destroyed by that. So each map is obviously different, but it's so difficult to, if you let me clear all of this.
So would you say it's just easier to get a just have someone with a movement ability just to kind of bait out all that util, or
It's just they make space, so they can
yeah.
get to like here, or like Jet can, dash into a smoke. They can get far out, so when people, because the common angles that you're going to be fearful of are like this and like this, right?
Yeah.
And you can break the line, which is what the dash and the satchels do, and the walls do. So you're breaking the line of sight that these people have over here. So like all of these abilities do the same thing, whether it's like dash out, double satchel, TP into a smoke. They all have the same thing, that
Yeah.
the enemy, like if you imagine it from their POV, they now before they would have to let me have the character. So before they would just get to watch like this, or if they was here, you know, they'd just have to watch like this. But the second that you satchel out or you do any of those abilities, now they have to hold like this, you know, even more than that really. So
Yeah.
it's like this, and now it's way harder because they can't just stand in the middle and hold both. Even that's risky. They can't just tunnel vision here because they could get there's loads of possibilities. They could get wrapped. Um, you know, they really depends. Especially Brimstone. The second that guy plays in this corner and you've gone out and you've checked it. So like obviously if you're playing Jet, you would dash out and you would flick your mouse to the side to like clear this angle before you land in your smoke.
Yeah.
And if say you've got a teammate coming up long, what would happen then is he'd just be destroyed because he's got a choice that he has to commit to something. He has to swing out and take the fight with the guys long. Jet's gonna trade him, or he's gonna stay in this corner and try and like hold Jet, and like this guy's just gonna come out and just clear him. Like it's really hard. Like he's just there's nothing he can do. He's lucky to even get one kill in that position because there's so many ways you could clear him out. Like just random example, if you're K, you just bounce a molly off. You could flash him. You could sky dog him, you could sky flash him, you could drone him, and then if you drone him, Jet sat in a smoke and just shoot him through the smoke because he's tagged. There's literally doesn't matter what agents you have, breach stun. Every agent has something Astra suck to deal with this guy in the corner.
Yeah.
So he's just gonna die. So basically, when you're entering, you're just trying to put it simply, break the line of sight, get info.
Okay. That's actually so useful because I think especially on a map like Bind, I think I always have a tendency to, as Brim, because I mainly just play Brim, I have a tendency to go into hookah since it's easier for me to smoke it off, I guess, compared to
Yeah,
long.
so how I would go about Brim, that's definitely I main control of myself, but one of the main issues that I see people have is they're really scared to get up long. A lot of people in general are really scared to go here, to here or here,
Yeah.
because it feels cozy in here because it's very hard for enemies to play in here and actually here in like the current meta. So like these spots are very easy to get into, but it's like after that you realize like how much space you lack. So it's like what I see, and I'm sure you've probably done this as well. I've done it. Everyone's done it. Where they come up short, they don't have any bathroom presence. They do this. They're like, "Oh, great, we got onto the site. We got here. Now what?" Because say we plant the bomb. Say that we are lucky enough to even get the bomb down without getting spammed, naded, flash through the smoke, whatever.
Yeah.
Then your after plant, you literally lack like let's break this down.
Oh, oh, my Discord just restarted.
Hello.
My Discord randomly just restarted. I don't know what happened.
No, that's okay. Tell me when you're back in.
Yeah, back in.
So I was going to break this down to boxes of so like let's imagine it from the enemy's POV, the amount of space that they have.
Yeah.
Let's just say we ended it at bathroom. You know, it's literally like,
Shut up, doggy.
to just put it simply, so they have this much space, and to be honest, they kind of have, unless you've got like a guy chilling here, they literally have up to here as well, basically.
Okay.
But we'll get rid of that for now. And then you, as the attacker, have in the green. Let's just say we're generous and we end it here. So one, they've got loads more space, right? Like absolutely incredible amount more space than you. Look at how half of these positions in this area that we've created. Let me just actually join it up a little bit.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I feel like I've always been in this kind of position where we literally only have U-Haul and that's about it.
So not only could they come around and they, just to make this diagram easier, I'm going to put as like a yellow, just like a potential, right, like box
Yeah.
that could be like contested by, you know, both teams. But let's just put it around like this. Right. So now what happens? This is way more likely to be dominated by the CTs if they have the red control anyway, because this sitting here as an attacker when you got the bomb down is pretty much useless. The only real purpose is to use this yellow one as like rotate avenues. But my main point above everything is in this green area that we have, how many actual spots are there? Because there's pocket, which is easily spammable, not a great position.
Yeah.
Then we've got the cubby, which again is super easy to molly and also just a really, one and done position a lot of the time. This isn't even really an angle. Sitting behind here is pretty useless because you're normally baiting your team. If your teammates are playing in front of you, there's no way you can trade them from here
Yeah.
because pocket is isolated to this guy and this guy. Like there's no way you're killing pocket or this guy unless you stand on top of the box, which in itself is, unless you've got an AWP, is a really bad angle. And then so what happens is you're funneled into lamps. And this spot, there's so many agents that can deal with this. Like you've got Astra Sucks, you've got Breach Stuns, you've got Brimstone Molly, Chamber hasn't got anything. Cypher's not really got anything except a cam. Fade, Prowler, KO Molly, KO Flash, Killjoy Molly, Neon Stun, Omen Flash, Phoenix Flash, Raze Nade, Rainer Flash, Sage Slow. Like all of these characters, doesn't matter what they have basically, can clear you out of there
Yeah.
or like deal with you. And especially when it gets claustrophobic, when you've got 3 people going like chilling in here, it's literally just so easy. And the worst part about lamps, not even all of that, is the fact that they've got, don't even have line of sight to the bomb. So
Yeah.
you can't even just chill in here and like defend the bomb. You actually have to make a decision the second they get on the bomb, which by the way, they literally have to invade that much of your space from their box when you do these smokes. They literally just come in and just get on the bomb straight away, and you have to peek. And there's literally 2 angles that you can realistically peek, which are here and here, which are very hard angles to get the line of sight to the bomb. Because what happens is it's very easy for. So let's make this. Let me get rid of this box diagram thing. So let's just imagine the defenders. I'll quickly say sorry if I'm not gonna be able to get through all of the VOD. I hope this is stuff is. If you want me to like skip what I'm doing and
No,
go
no,
to
no.
something
That's
else,
that. No, this is fine as well. I mean, I think if you do get to the VOD, it's probably better to do the Haven VOD because that's when I actually have comms with the team.
yeah, okay, we'll do that then. I'll just finish off this diagram
Yeah, no
because this
problem.
is Bind sort of summed up. So let's just say the bomb. I'm gonna put the bomb where Fade is. So but Fade's on top of the bomb for some reason. So if as an attacker, let's set this up. So we've got, let's just say we've got Jet and Neon, and we've got on the other team we've got this Fade, Astra, and let's just say we've got a KO, right? Or it should be in red. So for this angle where Jet is, it's so easy for KO to go wide and hold for the first contact,
Yeah.
then and still be hidden from Neon. Now, if Neon wants to go and kill the bomb, it's very easy for Astra to be isolated and like hold Neon without being exposed to Jet. So now this Fade has both, by the way, it's really easy for Fade to trade either. If KO was to die, Fade could easily trade that. And if Astra was to die, KO and Fade could easily trade that.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's just a really hard situation to win. Especially all it would take is, one smoke here and you're just really in an awful situation to be in. KO like you just basically, it's really hard to win the round from that spot. So a lot of people think because it's super easy to get the bomb down that it's better to do smokes like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I get the bomb planted every time. Like, what's the problem? But they don't consider how the after plant is like, really poor. So
So
you imagine if like it was B, like
yeah.
if you smoke like this, okay, yeah, I planted the bomb here, great. Oh, oops. So I planted the bomb here, great. But now I have no map control again. Like all of this, like basically all of this is not mine. And then all it takes, we got realistically we got 1 spot to play, which isn't even a great spot. And then all it takes is there 2 smokes, and we literally have no map control. Like all of our box, we could have all this space, but it's actually just done because all it takes is 2 smokes. That's all we got.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to do these deeper smokes that sort of allow you to actually, take more control so that you have way more options to play in an after plant. So that all stems from pushing properly. Because if you were to try and do an execute where you did these 2 smokes but you had no one in showers, unless you're going to coordinate your team to actually wrap around and take showers from site, this is going to go horribly because you're not going to ever be able to plant this bomb. Because it's very hard to, like, this guy can just see the bomb and it's very hard to cover this guy.
Yeah.
Especially if they have flashes, like someone that could pop flash through a smoke. So that's why it's very important that from the very beginning you set up the round for success. So you actually have two here, because I would consider two people in this game enough to take an area of the map. Any area of the map could be taken with two characters and have a good chance at least.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And then you've also got the thing where they're probably not going to play 4 on one bomb site. It's going to be 2, 3. That's the key to bind. If in a more advanced level, your goal as an IGL is to work out which bomb site has 2 and which has 3, and you want to hit the one with 2.
Yeah.
But the luxury of having a split and why this map's so attack sided, but it isn't really in ranked, is because if you got, let's just say, this is my last thing. I do apologize for
Oh, no, it's
rambling
fine. No,
on.
this is actually all helpful.
Is let's just say these are awful characters for taking bathroom and this map, but we're just going to put them there. Let's just say that we wanted to take it and we felt like we couldn't get in just because maybe they had a raise nade and they had like a fade. Like maybe it's like, okay, raise and no raise, and let me make it an raise and fade. They're over here, you know, they're like, okay, they do a nade and a suck combo in here, and they're like, okay, there's loads going on. They're controlling showers. There's actually nothing that we can do. We can't take this as 2. You literally just then get your teammates, because there's so much presence in showers. You know, there's maximum 1 guy because there's no way they play 4. And then you get to 2 or 3 players just go up and like crunch the bomb site.
Yeah.
Especially imagine you had a sky as well. You just pop a flash in there and you just wrap up, you know, like around here and flank them. And you just crunch them because it's very easy to flank either choke point. Same as if you were on to flip this, they did the same thing on long, and we had 2 people here, and they're playing in here. They stopped us. It's like we went to go up, and they just did a suck nade, and we couldn't push. And I've got teammates in hookah. Instantly, they can just collapse, double satchel out, and collapse and flank them.
Yeah.
While we're running up, like it's very easy to crunch people in either of the choke points. So basically that's just like why you want to split evenly, because no matter what happens, it would be the same thing if they were hard contesting here. You just run out showers and flank them. It's very easy to pincer. It's like on fracture. It's why you literally cannot sit very much of the time like on the bomb sites, because if a team attacks you properly, you're literally just getting crunched. For then there's nothing you can do about it. You know, you're forced in here. You have to deal
Yeah.
with. You can't hold this and this at the same time. One of you holding each angle is not reliable, because it's very easy to clear you out. For example, literally just, you know, any sort of flash like this. Like this isn't even a position you can really play, so you kind of have to play sort of here, and just this one flash just destroys you both, and that's excluding any of the other util that could come down. I'll go to Haven FOD, but I just wondered if that made sense at all.
No, it makes complete sense. It's actually really helpful because I feel like when I'm like, 'cause I tend to analyze like in game and see how we can push aside and whatnot, and I sometimes get a little bit lost in terms of how we can push aside because I'm always confused as to how to approach it, and I feel like that is just helpful in just approaching like the game.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. I hope that makes sense. It'll make like a big difference. Obviously, you know, it's really hard to replicate it in ranked sometimes. That's the thing. Um, my last thing before I quickly go off is like just to put this into a perspective. The other way is if you were to go like 5 up here, the CTs now have the option to do what I was just saying, where they can now pincer you because you've gone 5, so they can push through, they can come in the back, and then they're going to rotate from B and they're going to be here, and now you're pincered in this small area.
Yeah.
Just to close off. So now, yeah, if you get pincered, you should lose if you get crunched properly. So Brimstone, in my opinion, is quite a weak pick on Haven. I don't think it's a category of I wouldn't put in the category that it's you will lose the game the second you pick it. I
Yeah.
don't think that with any agent in rank. But I definitely think that on defense, on attack he's fine, but on defense he really lacks identity, and there's not really a great spot for him to play. He can't stand on his own 2 feet. Like he can't hold any portion of the map by himself really.
Yeah.
You can chain circle all you want, but it's a very big map. Your smoke radius, I'm sure you see it very often where on Haven you'll open up the round with smoke like this. Like a lot of people smoke this or this, and it's kind of a waste to. You need 2 smokes to retake a lot of. Well, if it's A, you can afford to only use 1 smoke if it's C and B. Um, this smoke's a bit of a dodgy one in itself. It's got pros and cons, same as this one for like a retake B. But anyway, like if you want to retake A, you need to have 2 smokes, which means that you've got 1 smoke to play with if you play anywhere else.
Yeah.
If you want to set yourself up for like a good chance of retaking. And then on top of that, Brimstone's not a good agent at A, which means that if he there's no real way for him to like really do anything. So you wouldn't put him on A, right? Because he's just not a good agent. He has nothing. You know, you need agents that can retake info on A or get aggressive spots. So your A characters you're sort of looking at are majority of the time are agents like this and then like this, because they can, you know, take info
Yeah.
and like whether it's with their util or their body. Because A is like a really, you don't want to get pincered. It's the only bomb site with 2 choke points on this map. You can count garage, but it's not really the same. It's not as bad as A. So that means you put Brimstone the other side, which means that Brimstone cannot smoke here at the start of the round, which also means that he's got 1 smoke to do here. And let's just say they do a fake on C, and you're like, okay, they're coming C. I've already used 1 smoke. I'm going to use my second smoke. If they go back to A, your chances of winning the retake are crippled massively. Whereas like at least with Omen or Astra, you can kind of set up your util to deal with, you know, push in, and then you can still have your 2 smokes available for retake.
Yeah.
But because it's such a big map, you don't have to do any gambling because you can put your stuff down based on what's happening. So you can react to what's going on.
Okay.
This is a map where self-sufficient agents really thrive. That's why Cypher's still like a really strong pick on this map, because he can do a load towards A, and he's one of the only characters. He does have a cam, which is technically info, but he's one of the only characters that can play A passively. Even if you tried to play Killjoy passively on this bomb site, it would be really hard to pull off consistently. This bomb site in itself, just you can't really play on this solo. It's a very hard bomb site to hold. You need at least 1 player per choke point, and if you want a good chance of holding anything.
Okay.
And basically Brim. Where do you play on defense as Brim?
I kind of just fill in wherever there's a gap.
Okay. I think if you're gonna play, I think the best way you could account for Brim is to pick a Cypher, because Cypher, if you were to spread out, Brim can play a little bit more free because he has the option to. Cypher could hold on to like 3 parts of the map, right?
Yeah.
Each one of his util. So then you can afford to play more reactive. Like you can play around here, and you get early enough info to sort of judge what's going on. But yeah, Brim, compared to Omen and Astra, he's very hard to like get a lot of impact out of on defense, unless
Okay.
you play him super aggressive.
Okay.
But we'll sort of take a look and see what you do. I don't know if you made a call. I skipped it a little bit.
Don't think so.
A good ranked experience where you ask a question, no one responds. If you're planning to do a rush, which will be 99% of your ranked pistol rounds, I would buy Stim.
Okay.
The only exception, which I feel like judging from you would have, is that you have lineup for this, or do you?
I do have a lineup, but I think I'm not too sure if I remember if I used the molly or not.
So obviously the round was just a bit messy. I would have preferred to use Stim, and it's got the
Yeah.
whole team like in a pack. But the thing is, when you drop these smokes, is that like if you take a look at like the second you actually drop it, go to exactly where it is, where you click go. No one is getting onto the bomb site with these smokes. Like there's no way. Like Sky's still all the way back here. You've still got to clear all the way up here. And if you try and rush this, it's really difficult for you. And just no one's going to be able to get in. At this point, I wouldn't have dropped my smokes. I would have basically just sat around and tried to like find a duel, try and equalize, like just go reset, try and like just bleed them out. Because Haven's a map where, especially when they're running Chamber as a Sentinel, they have like a hole all the time.
Mm.
So if you play out the time long enough, they have to account for that hole. So to account for that hole, they either have to go pick it up, which means one of the bomb sites weaker because they've had to rotate off, or they have to push one other part of the map to like rule out possibilities.
Yeah.
So rather than committing in here and just like sort of like speed into your death and speed into a lost round, you actually want to just slow it down here, tell your team to relax, play for picks, kind of just chill out a little bit, try and find something. Because like here, you make a good call, right? Imagine you hadn't used your smokes. Nothing about what's happened now would have been different, but now you have the option to still you could have still used smokes, right? So B is a bomb site where if you have two smokes, they're not very likely to play two players on B pretty much ever. It's very rare. So you can smoke off both links, but now you have to go into whichever bomb site you want to commit dry, which is awful, no matter which bomb site it is because there's two choke points for the defense, so they can hold you from CT heaven, excluding site. They can hold you from A link, C link. They can hold you from garage and C site. So you're getting pincered, sort of. You see that like common
Yeah.
recurrent theme, and now you can't deal with that. So this round's really difficult to win. So imagine you still had the two smokes here. It wouldn't have changed anything that's happened so far. Also personal preference, but I prefer to smoke here as
Yeah.
opposed
No,
to
I
here.
I I realized that afterwards.
If you have any questions at any point, by the way, or you disagree with something I say, literally just ask and we can have like
Yeah.
a discussion about it. That's really nice aim. Are you playing 1610?
Yeah. 1610.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, I think that was quite bad positioning. Like you just kind of like
Yeah.
stood in no man's land. I know you wanted the gun. Why is that doing that? It's probably because you're used to having smokes when you're in this position, so you can afford to actually go out to the side.
I I think
All I would have done is
it's
just, oh, go on, sorry.
yeah. No, I think it's also because I threw that molly. I didn't expect them to run out like that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I just think like you gotta like chill out a little bit. Like even when you first peek this corner, and you don't even have like regardless of whether you expect them or not, you don't have your gun out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not even ready to shoot someone here. You got the star here, which might have made you panic a little bit, but all you have to do is literally like you don't even have to reposition. You're at an advantage. They've got nothing that's gonna clear you out of the spot. It's not like they've got a breach or like something to destroy you here. You're chilling. Like look at their agents, base your play. Like whenever there's downtime, you should try and assess what is going on. Like imagine like you can quickly spend like 2-3 seconds like visualizing what are they actually gonna do to retake here. Well, they're gonna Chamber's gonna look for a pick, and Astra at best is gonna smoke and suck somewhere.
Yeah.
Like that's the best case scenario for them. So I don't have to worry at all because the second she drops smokes, I just trade out my molly and I just sit on site and I just trade out my molly. And then after that, they've got like a 3 second period to push, which I can just tell my mates to just triple swing.
Okay.
Like you can kind of come up with, obviously in your head there's not going to be that much detail. A lot of it's going to be subconscious the more you play. But like you can start now like consciously thinking about every time there's downtime, what are they going to do? Obviously that's quite unlucky there, and I think that it was okay for you to not expect it. I just would have never risked going out because I'd be more scared of heaven.
Yeah.
Heaven would be the main reason I wouldn't have went out there, not this guy's CT, because I'm pretty comfortable. They could have flanked, they could have done anything. So I would have just tried to maybe do something with my team. Maybe we get a sky flash and I reposition off the site or onto heaven, onto under heaven, anything like that.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Because I normally skip the freeze time, but obviously in ranked games anyway, because I don't know when you're gonna make a call or not. Please don't go garage. Please. This is like the only spot you wouldn't want to go against Eka, like when you win first round. Okay. I don't know whether you're just doing it because it's just there, but just a general thing, you might know this, you might not. When you're holding a smoke, your crosshair needs to be either here or
Yeah. Yeah.
here.
I think
And
it was just I wasn't concentrating at that
yeah,
moment.
That's what it looks like. That's like the sort of IGL thing. When I'm thinking, you're just not like. There's no. I didn't think that you were trying to kill this guy. I just thought I'd point it out, and then to add to that, you wouldn't want to be whichever one you pick. You don't want to be exposed to the other one. So you'd go over here to hold this, and you'd go over here to hold this.
Yeah.
Just as a. Someone needs to hold it though. So good job that Chamber is. This is a good call. Go see. It would be okay to go garage right there, just if you went with like enough people, just because there was that amount of info on
Yeah.
B. But otherwise, you just wouldn't go. Typical, make a good call, and no one listens. This was a really good call though. This is exactly what you should have done. It was really good awareness. I hope you don't lose this round. I would fall off too long because you got Molly. So you know, although he has a smoke, which normally would mean that it's risky to come off too long, you just trade out your Molly for the bomb when he smokes,
Yeah.
and you're fine. This is a bit too risky, in my opinion. Like you net the
Yeah.
kill, but I wouldn't actively try and like do anything of this info unless I was doing it with Chamber. If I'd properly coordinated it with Chamber, I'd be okay to take a risk like this. Because no matter what, like it's good to take info together. Like if you're gonna do something together versus and you're gonna outnumber them, so in a 2v1 that's absolutely you can do anything. You could do a terrible play if you wanted, and it would still be fine. But yeah, I wouldn't like to take that risk. That was a really good call though. And this is a round where going garage is really good. So I don't know whether you called this, but this is really nice. You want to smoke before the dog comes in so that the dog can't be shot.
Okay.
So it's the same logic as on. Do you play Viper on Icebox or Breeze?
I played Viper on Xbox.
So what about on Breeze? Brit. Did you
Breeze as
play
well,
Breeze?
actually.
Okay,
I
good.
played Viper on Breeze and
So obviously when this is your traditional wall, something like this, and say you just got a Sova, right? Or drone, any proxy ability like dog drone. When it's out here, if this wall isn't up, there's so many people from safe angles that can shoot it.
yeah.
And you can't clear the actual thing you're wanting to clear, which is this. This is the only thing you're really looking to clear because you're looking to clear that and then dart behind it and take the control. If you, this dog can just be shot from window with no consequence, right? So like the guy in window on Haven. So sorry, my point to finish was that you have to wall up and then you drone on the floor so that no one can shoot it without being
Yeah.
in the line of sight to your team. So you force them to have to do a play. They have no counter play to that. So here, if the enemy's just chilling, in the window, he can just shoot the thing for free because the dog's going to be the first thing going in there and then leave, you know. Whereas if you actually smoke before the dog comes in, then either the guy close left has to shoot his gun, shoot the dog, or he has to pretty much shoot the dog or he's going to get stunned. And if he has a judge, to cancel, and you can go do something different, or whatever happens, like this dog is going to get a lot of info. It's pretty much never going to get shot.
Yeah.
Because it's even risky for the guys to be up on plat and holding, this line of sight. Because someone could easily, by this point of the dog, if you wait it and you time it properly, someone could actually just go peek this angle at the same time from behind the dog. And this fight is a fine fight for the attackers. So yeah, so just try and coordinate. I don't know if you're pre-made with a Sky or anything, but just try and tell him.
No, I think this game I was solo.
That's like a general rule for any proxy ability. So again, like as well, because the smoke was late, this guy managed to die to window, which should never happen.
Yeah. So say if my team was just calling out that they wanted to go garage, would I just smoke window from the start of the round, or
No, you would say in an ideal world, you would get Sky would hopefully say that he's dogging garage.
yeah,
That's his plan. But if not, you tell him to dog, and you just say Sky dog after my smoke or wait for my smoke and then go. You just try and give him that little bit. Also, this is the same thing as bind. Your planning here, your round macro is literally 5 through this little choke point. It's not on you to do it, but like there's no point putting Sova and Sky in garage because they both do the exact same thing. So the luxury of having these two is you can proxy up long. So by proxy, it's I mean drone, dog, info abilities that like prowler, that type
Yeah.
of ability. While you're doing it in garage, so you're sort of funneling them into the site because you're getting loads of info for safety, and then you can afford to use your utility based on where you find them. So say you had a breach, or you probably wouldn't have a breach like comp, but say you had Omen, he could flash half of site, or Raze could nade backside, or whatever you want to do. But yeah, you definitely don't want to go 5 any place. Think of it as win conditions. So if you go long and they die in garage, you've got win conditions coming up long. But if you get shut down in garage and you all go there, that's your only win condition.
Yeah.
So like here, it's quite common to have 2 here, and 1 through B. That way you got 3 avenues of like people that can win you the round. So that's like a very good round. Very good round. Obviously harder to pull off in ranked. But yeah. So had you, this whole sequence would have been so much smoother had you had the smoke before the dog. I know he didn't give you any warning because the dog wouldn't have had to. I don't know what he's doing with the dog. I don't know why he's spinning around with the dog in the middle of the garage. But he could have just taken a really clear path where the dog would get to at least the end of this doorway.
Yeah.
And then you would have never died to window. The dog would have cleared close, which is where the guy was. That's why he's like, look how quick he's back into garage. Like he's already like around here. And it would have just meant you could take a lot more space. But like the dog was the dog was here before we were even in garage, and that kind of stemmed down to the smoke and him being a bit of a like idiot with his dog, if I'm honest. But those 2 things. So like that's like the little things that make the big difference.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Your solo queue this game.
Yeah. Solo queue this game.
Yeah, your initiators are not on the same page. They should not be. They're both so used to doing the same thing. Like they should never be together. It doesn't make any sense. Because the problem you have here is you have nothing good that helps you take this part of the map. Like any point here, you could just go wide swung and it's a 50-50 duel. Like that. Like imagine you had a proxy there that would have never. I think you actually complain. Someone needs to go short. Yeah. Like you're exactly right there. Um, it's really infuriating. But as a Brim in general, you kind of want to go long, just
Okay.
as a general thing. Like worst case scenario, what happens if you give up short is that you just go round and you got to make sure that if none of your teammates go short, that when you take sight, you just go round and clear it. Because normally, like here, it'd be fine to not take short as long as your plan is to treat it like bind Tuka, like that type of round, right?
Yeah.
So you go round and you clear it. Like it's not the end of the world. It's definitely not ideal by any means, but there's still ways you can deal with it. But definitely don't go as Brimstone and try and take any portion of the map by yourself, even if it is the right thing on paper. Like the execution's not going to be consistent. So there, just go with the team, go with the pack, get the stim beacon down, get like 5 assists around. So what was the strat here?
I think this is where we started quote unquote defaulting and then kind of just spreading out and kind of playing for info, but I don't think much happened.
Okay.
And then we kind of just forced something here.
This is good. I've got info across all parts of the map. We're set up. This is good because this is what I'm saying about win conditions. So you currently got a C long win condition, a garage win condition. You should break that wall, by the way.
Okay.
Always. All you got to do is break 1 slice, and it means that he can't like. It's too risky for him to go and peek into mid because he could just die. Like he has to overextend. Ideally, you want to break 2 pieces, but sometimes it can be too risky. But definitely break at least a 1 slice because what sages do, at least the better sages, I don't know if this guy would be doing this, but this is what like sages would do in a better game, is they wall here and they don't just sit on it. They wall and then they double up somewhere. So now you can't take this because they're not worried about it, and now taking garage is twice as hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So he's
makes sense.
walling and leaving. So now that he can hold on to this part really strong. Whereas if you break a slice in this wall, now he has a choice to, that they're pretty much never going to have a wall and a trademark on the same position. At least they shouldn't do. So the second you break that wall, he has to now leave to here, and now garage is isolated again. So that's like the effect that like just breaking 1 little slice of that wall will have. Knowing this guy's probably on the wall though, because every ranked Sage ever just sits on this. That's a good call. We have to be quick though. That's the thing. Also, I don't know why you wouldn't go through window, just out of interest. I think window was safer for you to go through,
Okay.
just in that like specific. So again, like I'd personally not do that smoke, but here is a bit of a weird one. What I would consider like of sitting back in that long smoke just while Sky comes up, because I
Yeah.
really don't want to lose. Sky doesn't play as how I would have played it as Sky either, because if I'm Sky, I would have told you to play more passive so that I could find the sort of timing, but he did get a kill, so you kind of had to give away. But I think here is like so risky.
I think here is
They
when I
probably
kind
they
of overheated a little bit and just thought to go forward into side rather than just sit back.
Yeah, because you're literally about 1 second away from Sky answering all your like questions about where the enemy are. But I'm certain they've got to be out on site here. Like surely. No, maybe they're not. I don't know where the enemies are then. It must have been really far away.
No,
I would have
I am
I
pretty
would have
sure that Astro wasn't short and then just at least that was yeah. I felt like Astro was short and then just wrapped around.
it's a bit it's so weird to see this round like unfold like this because you're absolutely fine to plant here at this point. I know you're scared of short, which is why you do it. So this is a good decision, but you don't com. So you do
Yeah.
this thing that I see a lot where you com shorts open, which is a good com, but then you don't say what it means. So like you would tell him shorts open, I'm going to plant for CT, which
Okay.
infers to him that he's going to play CT. But right now he's translating this as shorts open, let me go peek it. So you've done opposing ideas. So if you
Yeah.
did this with your plant here, you'd be fine, right? And also if he came back and held you from here, you would also been fine. But you both went from you both were on different pages, which meant you both did different things that had no synergy together. So that's like the little thing as well with your comms of just making sure you shouldn't have to do this, and the higher level you get, the less you have to do it. But like still, it's still good to just get in a habit of just saying what it means. It's like a load of people will say, okay, yeah, they're doing this, but then they won't give a solution. You kind
Yeah.
of want to be the guy giving that solution.
No, that makes sense.
Again, I would break a slice. This is really good, but I would never break a slice and then look to go into B because so I'm going to give you a little sort of like theory thing. What do I do? Cool. So when you break the sage, so this is the bar that I'm going to give you. This is like a bar of them understanding or them expecting you, like anticipation bar, we'll call it, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully this makes sense to you. So this is 100%, this is 0%, right? So what happens is when this wall is not broken, let's just say we're in Sage's mind, right? So this bar is literally at 0% because there's 0% chance of you going B unless you want to factor in the fact you could TP as Omen, but then that's sound. So I would say it's at 0, right?
Yeah.
The second you break a slice, this comes way up like here. So you don't want to hit B the second you break one of these pieces of Sage Wall because the second it breaks, that's when this guy's going to go pick it up, right?
Yeah.
But if you break it, leave it for a little bit. Now he has a choice of like the bar is as time goes on, the bar is going down. The only thing that would keep the bar like going up is if they were clearing out information from other parts of the map, right? So
Yeah.
let's just say that the more info they have, the more this bar goes up, and the less info they have, the more this bar is going down over time. I hope that sort of makes
Yeah,
sense.
that makes
So
sense.
basically, you don't want to. It's like you could use the logic of when you smoke the bomb site, their bar of anticipation instantly goes up to like way high because you've put smokes down. They think you're going to commit. Same thing as breaking the sage wall. And obviously, the higher the bar is, the less chance of success you have. Did you see this? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Does that
this.
make sense?
Yeah, it makes
Does
sense.
that make okay? So that's a general like IGLN thing in itself. You just don't want to, the second you do something somewhere, you don't want to fully commit a lot of the time because it gives you no chance to read the situation or let the enemies overthink. Is short clear?
I think I kind of ran in there assuming sure was clear, but it
Yeah.
definitely wasn't cleared by Sky.
That's fine. No, this is good. You have really good comms. Like the good thing about your comms is the urgency when it needs to be urgent. So like you don't just go, guys, come A, like you say it once in like a soft voice, and then everyone, and then you go at the end of the round, you get the people go, I said go A, and it was literally like at the lowest volume ever. Like you command your team, which is why they all listen. Like they instantly came and rotated over. Here, this is fine. I okay, so I would feel no need to like do anything other than be tucked into this box.
Okay.
Because it's very hard. Like if they want to come and clear you, yes, they could spam you, but then you can peek out and spamming and they have to spray transfer you, which I'll take those odds on that fight. But if they want to actually come and clear you, then they have to run into Sova's line of sight. If they run into Sova's line of sight, clearing you, Sova kills them. If they run into Sova's line of sight, looking at Sova, you kill them. It's a win-win.
Okay.
Like there's no real bad option. They don't have anything that can get you out. Yes, they could maybe Astra like gravity well you, but that's about it. But here you don't really ever want to be in the open. Like there was no need to like move your position. I feel like you just like not necessarily panicked, but like sort of like panicked, like I don't really know the word because you definitely weren't like flustered, but you sort of moved for no real reason. So I don't really know like what word I'd use to summarize that.
I think it's slightly lack of concentration. I feel like I sometimes do unnecessary movements for not
I see
for
that a
just
lot.
not for not
Like
no complete reason.
it kind of ties into like overthinking a little bit, or like I guess it is a part like underthinking as well. Because like either autopilot, the two reasons people do that is because they're not thinking properly, so they're just kind of moving, they're just in their own like sort of place, or they're overthinking stuff that they keep moving
Hey Ravi,
to
what's
deal
up?
with each possibility that keeps coming in their
And hi
head.
Paxi.
You normally get two types of players. It's one or the other.
Yeah. I
It's
think
definitely a focus thing
yeah,
though.
I think it's also partially that I'm looking at the map so much that I end up just staring at a wall or something.
It would have been good for you to stare at a wall there, to be fair. Just when you're thinking a lot, like you'll see it in any IGL. If you ever watch a pro game, you can tell the IGL by watching how many times they have like downtime where they're like, what is he doing? Like, why is he looking at the floor? Or like, why is he looking at the wall and not moving? And it's like when they're thinking, like you can actually see in someone's gameplay when they're just straight thinking or looking at the map or something. I really like this ult. I really like this ult. The reason I like it so much is it's like a lot of people just ult in the middle, and it doesn't really achieve anything. It's just messy. Whereas this one funnels them into making one of two decisions. They either have to leave the site or they're stuck on it, and they have to make that choice instantly. And I love ults like that. That's the best way to use a Brim ult. Obviously, that's unlucky to die like that. But like I love this. It's the same reason I would use a molly on bind on like CT. So they've got a choice to either like stay on the bomb site or leave, and
Yeah.
they have to make that decision very quick. And obviously that makes it way easier to use your, if you sky flashed above the bomb site, you literally get everyone that you want to get. So it's like really nice. No, that was a really good round, really good util. Apart from the smoke, is the only thing I'll change, but that's about it. Do you have any questions at the moment, or
No, not right now.
if there's any, like I said, if there's, I don't understand.
Because I think everything that you're saying right now is just it just makes a lot of sense to me, which but I don't really have to ask too many questions right now.
Oh, that's good. This is a bit of a hard like when you've got a team comp like this with no space making duelist. It's really hard to do. You kind of have to do the smokes from like up here.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably like literally, run into cubby, go a bit to the right so you're hidden to like more angles, and then drop the smokes and then come and run up your stim. You kind of have to play a bit like a duelist. But like here, it's not really why you died at all, but it's just in general, you kind of have to play like that. I would say I don't know if you called it or anything. Sky asking to fast push C while he's over at A lobby. You can't play fast with this comp, in my opinion. They've got Astra, they've got Astra Suck, what's it called? Sage Slow. the trademark manages to go off. Like you can't funnel for any choke point because you've got no one to break the line of sight.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to go through fight like majority in one. Well, not even majority. If you funnel all your players through here with nothing coming in the back, like it's really difficult. It pretty much will never work. A bomb site's a bit different because you can get really close, so you don't need a space making duelist. B is sort of similar, but C is absolutely impossible because you have no one to break this crossfire here and here.
Okay.
Like, I see, you already know.
Yeah, that my Sky that game was lurking every single time.
That is really tough.
Yeah, I think it's because we never really had someone window, so
Yeah,
from a lot of the rounds, so I feel like that kind of just conditioned Chamber to take a fight there.
yeah. I mean, it's sort of like it's a very small mistake, and it is quite unlucky. But just to break this down, so this angle, so you're jumping and holding A here, which is why you're going out. You
Yeah,
can jump up and be tucked here, and then you can actually peek this with intent. It's like this is again adds to these little things that like would be the difference. Because I'll to give you like an easier to understand example is there's killjoys that will 99 like probably like 95% of the time they won't get punished for this. They'll run forward like this and they'll put their turret on here. Whereas like but they'll be around every now and again where chamber or someone peeks garage straight away and AWPs this guy or kills this guy. But it doesn't happen very often, so they don't realize. But like a better player, like a killjoy, like top killjoy, will stand here and there's a lineup, and they will have a lineup so they're hidden from garage, and then they put the turret down, and then they'll wait for the turret to. The turret has like half a second. If it sees someone the second it's placed, it will shoot, but you have to wait for it to shoot. Because it's like some people literally come, put their turret down. Okay, it's not insta shot, swing out and die.
yeah,
Because if you're like an enemy chamber or jet and you're like posted, you have like half a second to catch someone off guard before the turret is even going to start shooting at you. So the two things that would make separate like a really good killjoy from like a pretty good killjoy is having if this were two high low players would be the guy having the turret from a safer line of sight and the guy waiting for the turret to actually fully form and shoot.
yeah,
So like here, you could go here, and then you could actually peek this angle with intent, rather than kind of like throwing your body out there in like one whole motion. Like you didn't account for this angle.
yeah,
It's a very uncommon angle. He's probably not going to be there more than like once a game at best. But like it's these little things that you got to kind of condition yourself to do to like make your game as perfect as it possibly can. It will never be perfect, but at least if you can, peek. You see, like this guy here is sort of trying to peek all the little angles. The equivalent of what you've done is you would have jumped up there and like you probably on this angle would have done it like him, but the equivalent of what you've done there is like jumping up this angle and swinging out and peeking all of short at once,
yeah.
rather than taking it like angle by angle.
One thing I do want to ask is, say if like you're meant to be the IGO of the team and you end up dying early round, should you be saying anything once you're
Really
dead?
depends on the players. If the players believe in your calls and you know that, then and they trust you, then absolutely you can. But some players work better with freedom. That's why, like, one thing, like in ranked, you have to judge this by tone of voice
Yeah,
and how they responded to previous rounds. But in a team, you have players that either love to be micromanaged a bit, or you have players that absolutely thrive under freedom. So a lot of your star players in the team won't be micromanaged; they'll be freedom. But your more support players might, think less, or, like want to do less themselves, and they'll like contribute to the bigger picture. Um, as opposed to just doing whatever they want. So it really does depend. There's not really a definitive answer. You can't apply the same logic to all your games. But if you believe that you have a good call, you should do it. And whether they trust you or not, either what happens is they don't trust you and it's just annoying, but it's whatever, or they trust you and you get to learn about your call, and you get to see if it worked or not.
Yeah.
And then obviously the more you do that, the more you're going to learn. So it's definitely worth trying all the time. The only time you wouldn't try at all is if you've spoken to your players specifically. So these are people you play with regularly, and they've made it clear they really don't do well with that. That's the only time. But other than that, just go ahead and just try all you want. Wow,
Yeah, I don't know what
that
that's
was
all.
really good. Just, that whole sequence is just ridiculous. Smoke yourself here. I would smoke myself,
Okay.
and then you can like play around it. Also, I don't know whether it's necessarily your fault, but you've kind of put yourself in a position where you have to lurk as Brim, which means you definitely cannot smoke, which is obviously one of the downsides to Brim. Also, micro thing, I would just never peek this guy, to be honest. I would just kind of like chill at least a little bit. Like, definitely, if I was going to peek this guy, I would not peek him in window. I would peek him. Let's go try get. I would peek him or just before this if I can get to it.
Oh, P
Try
from
to pause it on
garage.
that. So like my crosser would be here. This would be the angle.
Okay.
So I would hold like this angle. I would not want to fight him up into the window because at least with here, this is how you sort of work out how to pick better fights. Here, there's only one elevation. So one crosshair placement is going to be good for all the angles that he peaks. Whereas the second you peek out here, if second you're here, he could be in the window, he could be on the window, he could be down on the ledge, he could be down here, down on the floor, over here. It's so many angles at once.
Yeah.
So it's so hard for you to like pull off this kill. It's like pure, like there's no surprise that you don't kill him, you know. Whereas he here, by the way, holding you, he has a similar like you're on the ground, right? So he has a similar elevation that he has to hold for no matter like it's only the width of his peak.
Yeah.
But here you have to deal with the horizontal line and the vertical line, and that makes it almost like impossible for you to sort of get a good kill there. Whereas like him, this guy holding you here, he only has to hold he only has to worry about the horizontal line, so it's easier for him to hold you.
Yeah. I think one thing with at least my gameplay as well is that I tend to play for the team, so I always forget that I can smoke myself and kind of play around that and delay things. For example here, I probably like you said I could have smoked myself, probably um delayed chamber from killing me and whatnot.
As well, looking at your map, this guy is in no man's land. You've got teammates that can like pincer him. So Sova can come here and hold your push. I mean, it's a little bit dodgy. He could kill you, but he wouldn't be able to. Sova would definitely trade him if your teammates came back. One of your two, either these guys or this guy would trade the guy if he came and pushed you. Pretty much definitely.
Yeah.
It, but if your teammates actually like came back here, like you didn't need, you just panicked. Like this situation wasn't as scary as you felt like it was from your perspective. When you look at the bigger picture, this guy was just into a terrible position, caught out of position, could have been dealt with really easily.
Okay.
But you didn't give your teammates a chance to actually bail you out, and you didn't even do everything you could have done to get out of the situation yourself. So there, you kind of don't peek it again with intent. Like that was a little bit sloppy as well. Like
Yeah.
had the guy been there, he would have killed you again. I feel like you were gonna smoke before his flash there, which is good. This is good. That play boils down to that bar that I was talking about. You know, the second that you break it, you know they're gonna try to do something, and then if you were to wait 10 seconds, it'd be way easier to take garage.
Yeah.
So you kind of like subconsciously did that logic or use that logic.
Yeah. I think I have the idea. I just don't think I'm consistently doing it enough.
Yeah. That's kind of like that's literally what I'm saying, like about your rank, like going to the next rank and going to the top You can actually get away. Like if you played enough, you would probably eventually get to the top rank. At least in Mall, 2, 3, without having to do these things all the time. But doing these things consistently is going to make that process. You're going to be way more consistent in terms of you're going to succeed a lot more when you get there, and you're going to be able to maintain your rank and push higher and higher. But like certain players like run into a brick wall where they can't actually progress because they don't understand what they're doing wrong, and most of their games are boiling down to whether they hit their shots or not. So here you're kind of doing that thing where you're just moving around. So and like moving around for no reason. You had nothing to worry about except the long flank here. So you could have just tucked in here and just held this.
Yeah.
And then if you hadn't been moving around and you'd been focused on what you're doing and chilled out, this would have never got a reveal. But because you were moving around a lot and doing different things, you ended up getting to this late. I personally wouldn't have ever peeked that unless it was commed by my Reyna to do it.
I think it was one of those where I expected the Arena to peek into that fight and I just looked for the trade.
Yeah, because he did kind of shot. I think you did react to it. I would just be scared. Pretty much any time. Like I'm pretty sure Chamber could have an AWP in this round. I
Yeah.
don't know for sure though. But I would just be scared. I just wouldn't. I would hope that my teammate wouldn't do it. I would like not anticipate it, and I would
Yeah.
just probably let him die a lot of the time. Because there's got to be rounds where you try and help someone, and I've definitely had these rounds before. I think everyone has, where you help someone, and they're like, "Why on earth did you knew it was a bad idea, but you felt guilty? You wanted to help them, and then you just end up both dying." That happens all the time. So if I don't know if Sova planned it, but like even here you could still do it. If you ulted here, here Sova is fun. Reyna is holding this line. Let me do
Yeah.
it Valopon. I feel like you understand this straight away because it's really simple to understand. So Sova, Reyna, you, Brimstone ult, Sova ult. So let's just say Sova ult here, and then Sova ult here, and so. Sova ult here, and Reyna's here. So now what's happening is why is it showing all the maps? So now the guy is literally 100% dead, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because Reyna's either going to kill him when he's forced out here. Sova's either going to kill him with his ult because he doesn't have to worry about, the guy running away CT. And then your ult is stopping him leaving. So all these things together is a guaranteed kill, pretty much. Obviously, there's a world where he just swings out and kills Reyna, but most of the time,
Yeah.
you should get this. But now the guy is able to move around and dodge the Sova ult, and now you're doing that would have been a good that still would have been a good ult to do then. I don't think it's gonna kill him because the problem is like when you ult like that, like it's very easy. Like literally he has to look how much your ult is like inefficient.
Yeah.
So pretty much like there's no if I clear all this.
I mean, would you have suggested I ulted in a way that pushed him onto the site?
So I would have ulted like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Because then he's funneled again. So most of your Brimstone ult, the key to mastering Brimstone ult is funneling. So when you ult here, because it's just super easy for them to. It's not realistic that they were gonna ever run this way. Pick the worst color to do that with. So it's not realistic that they're gonna run forward because you had presence there, so he would die anyway. So it's wasted. So he's just going to run out. And if he was where he was, which was here, it's so easy. By the time he hears the ult, he was definitely never intending to run forward. So second he hears the ult, before it even gets a tick, he's literally about here. You're lucky to even get one tick here. Whereas when you do something like this that's behind him, it's kind of like you still might not kill him, but you have way more chance of killing him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And you get a lot more space because you funneled him. And he might panic because if the enemy save is here and he turns to his left and he sees that the rim of the ult is not even like is where he wants to go, he's not going to want to consciously run all the way through this because he'll die. So he's cut. So if you manage to catch him like here, he's just screwed. Even if he was here, he's still got like a hard decision to make because he's gonna think, wait, this ult isn't the normal ult. Because pretty much every time he's ever been brim ulted, it would have been this one. I can guarantee.
Yeah.
So it's just thinking like, how can I use my ult to like get what I want? So this is ensuring that you either basically, well, no, I wouldn't say guarantee, but let's just say it's like 90% he either dies to this or he funnels into your team, which he dies as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this ult has way less wasted space.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Good awareness, but then this is overheating for sure. 5v2, you don't really need to do anything more aggressive than this. Because now this is probably not ever going to happen, but there is a chance it could, and all of these things get more possible the better players you're playing against, where they two-man come in garage, take a 2v2, win both the fights, now it's a 2v3. So the round goes from seriously unwinnable to winnable just based on that. And as much as it's unlikely, I just want to condition you to be as perfect as you sort of can,
Yeah.
because that's obviously what every player sort of strives to be. I don't know if there's any rounds in particular. We might still be able to go through it all. Sorry if I've rambled on
No,
about
no,
stuff.
no. It's completely fine. I mean, I've still managed to get a lot of information down, so it's all helpful.
Here I would have dropped both smokes
Okay.
or none. They're your two choices. Definitely don't drop one unless you have three smokes. Because what I was saying earlier is you need two smokes to retake, right? So you have two options every single time you're in this position. Either smoke off and try hold on to the bomb site, or don't smoke at all and play
I
retake.
think the reason why I didn't smoke it because I saw Reina pushing short.
Yeah, but then you don't want to drop here because this might be like the example where it doesn't punish you for it that much. But now you're in a really awkward position to have to re-smoke with only the one smoke. And it's just like not a great position. So let's see what the info was. So you got so you had the aggro short here. I probably would have just ran out to CT, but your Sova, the reason why this looked worse to me than it actually is, because it's not so bad to actually drop the smoke here in this specific example, but your Sova makes a really poor decision based on what I think was going on here. I think he could have delayed a little bit more. But your smoke kind of doesn't really do anything because it's also a case of he's on the bomb site by himself. So he's not ever going to be peeking this anyway. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So what's going to happen, the reason why your smoke almost like could fuck your Reyna really is because um, so Reyna's flanking here, Sova's on here, you smoke them off, and then let's just say there are at least three people in this gap. Now what's going to happen is Rain. So Sova was never going to peek this. So Sova's safe to run out. Your smoke doesn't help him run away, right? He's on the bomb site by himself. So if he has a brain, he shouldn't want to fight the bomb site, right?
Yeah.
But then what could happen is you smoke them off, and then they all turn around, which is sort of what happened. But Reina gets the kill and just gets peeked. But you were kind of in a good position to come out here, play four. Let's just say four guys retake, whatever it was. I know you're Brim, but just an example. Where you let them have the bomb site and now you're pincering them again. So anytime you can afford to pincer them, it's good. But this smoke almost means that they could turn around like 2 plus people at time, dual Reyna. It just doesn't really do anything good for you.
Yeah.
Like it would have been fine to let them come into sight.
Okay.
Good comms though. You kind of have to do. Some people get annoyed at you for saying shit like that, but like you actually have to comms stuff like that. It's worth at least trying because people don't think. People just do a lot of the time. Because now you got the issue of only having the one smoke. So by the time you smoke short, which is what I assume you're going to smoke, I would definitely not do this smoke.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I'd
I.
always do this one here.
Yeah.
Um, look how exposed you are still. Like it's very easy for them to this guy. This smoke is gonna make it worse for you because like the guy's just gonna run out of this smoke. It doesn't matter when you hit shots like that. But yeah, like I don't know why he didn't even peek with intent. He just really good play. That was unlucky. That was a really nice play though. So there was a few things wrong, but you see how like not having two smokes meant you still had to take a lot of you were exposed to a lot of angles at
Yeah.
once. That's like the difference between doing this smoke here as opposed to this smoke and this smoke here instead of this smoke. It really minimizes the amount of angles you're exposed to. What is the score of this game?
We lost this actually.
Oh wow. This kind of here. So imagine, I know it's a little thing, and I know it might seem a bit like hindsight, but it's all it isn't. It's where you don't do these things like 100% of the time. Like every time you're crossing here, there's an actual no reason to have your knife out. You might as well give it a jiggle with intent. And it's like little things. So like on the box on mid,
Yeah.
it's like you should do these things every single time, and then they become habit. Like I would actually just not even thinking about it. I would just never knife walk across here unless I had 100% info. But it's like those little things that add up. There's been like quite a few little things, but none of them are like massively bad mistakes. But altogether, they make quite a big amount. Good to use two smokes. I don't mind doing this smoke when in this situation, but do it as a one way. There's no reason to do it on the
Okay.
floor. Put it on the box. Here you got two teammates on site. Literally just throw your molly over. So if we go back a second, throw your molly off here.
Okay.
Stop them coming in long, or bounce it off here if you want to get closer. You but do it based on the situation. And also then the second he smokes, you got the opportunity to molly here. But definitely get out this smoke as soon as you can. I'd comment to my team as well. I personally wouldn't have used the molly at that point. I would have already pre-used it if it was me, but I wouldn't at this point if I'd still had it. I wouldn't have used it because the threat doesn't seem that scary. You came in, there was one gun site by itself. It's probably a fake. It's a bit too quiet. I feel like if they were gonna be where that molly is, they would have already come out. Because if they had a teammate already come out and they're all baiting in there, they're either not there or they're the biggest baiters ever. Turns out they are the biggest baiters. This is good. So you see how you peaked. This is one of the things you do good. So you peak this angle with intent rather than walking around. It's like doing this on every single angle. Yeah, I assume you're gonna fix your mistake because okay, I personally wouldn't have ran across here ever without looking here because there's
Okay.
nothing else you really need to look at. This is good. You wait for Sova. That was really good. I think you did everything right there. That was really nice. You like waited just like I don't even know whether you did it consciously, but you definitely did it like subconsciously at least, where you just waited. You took an extra jiggle or two just to wait for Sova to group up behind you. Like that didn't look like it was done randomly. That looked like you actually, some part of you wanted to do that.
Like I think a lot of the time I do want to try and play with the team.
Hmm.
So I like do subconsciously do things that like like contribute to teamwork, I guess.
No, that's really good. It's a really good skill to have that a lot of players don't have. You see how, like, I don't think you do anything wrong, but you are pulling your knife out way too much.
Yeah.
When you're walking, it doesn't really make any difference, so there's no point. Um, but imagine that Sky had the communication skills to tell you she was going to do that. This play would have looked totally different, but she just didn't give you any forward prep. And if you hadn't had your knife out, this kill, like, so you pull it out like just before you do it. So that's the
Yeah.
downside to having a good knife. You would have got this kill. Because this happened before, you know, when you're on A site and you peeked out, but you had this animation still.
Yeah.
So just try and keep your gun out. Knife is
I,
purely used for like rotating when you need to
yeah, I
run
usually
fast.
don't have my knife out, and I always say this whenever I play, but I think it's one
Yeah,
of those where I just kind of was autopiloting
yeah.
quite a bit um in certain times.
No, that's okay. It's an eco round. Won't put too much like into it. General things are. I'd say that looks a bit wasted. I don't really like ever doing this smoke. It doesn't really do anything. It's really like we can't get a kill. It's super safe for them to hold it. It's putting like a plaster on like a massive wound. You know what I mean? Like it's literally
Yeah.
just gonna fly off in a second. Just do the one way or so. I wouldn't even do a one way. I would do my smokes this round would purely be rat smokes that I can play and get like a 50-50 like pushing it. So like
Okay.
smoking a choke point halfway. So like what I mean by that is like what I'd consider like rattier smokes would be doing something like this. And then I can kind of like jump into it or like one of the best ones, like this one, just absolute rat smokes, or wait until they come in and then throw smokes with like overhang that I can play around, go in and out of. Because as a attacker and a defend, well, as an attacker and a defender, most of the time, unless you're close to it, you'd want your smokes flush to the wall, so there's
Yeah.
no overhang. But when you're being a rat or you're playing close to it, you want your smokes to have overhang. Just not loads. You wouldn't ever do it like that, but it'd be like a little bit discreet overhang,
Yeah.
so that you
I
can sort of
definitely.
hide behind it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing as well. I think I am too concerned about holding off pushes that I don't throw smokes that allow my team to play around it.
Yeah, so that's just like just the second. All you do to make that skill better is just check your map. Like as you're pulling out the animation or as you're thinking about doing it, you're just observing what's going on and just like the more you do it, the quicker you'll get at just making decisions based on what's going on. So just looking at the map, like and conscious. You have to make a conscious effort to do it. It won't ever just happen. You really have to try and get yourself thinking like
Yeah.
that. A lot of the things I'm telling you is like changing the way you think, but you have to consciously do it at first till it becomes subconscious. Um, Second that he gets this kill, I am running through the smoke. The second that happens, so you end up doing it. I don't know if it even would have changed anything, but the second that he got
No,
contact, the
yeah.
second I'm in that smoke and he's taking contact, I know the second he gets contact, I'm going through.
I
That's my
think I
best
could have gone.
chance.
I think I should have gone a little bit earlier for sure.
That could have been the difference between winning that round or doing more damage or getting the kill that got your ult this round, which could make the difference in this round. You see how like all the little things they just add up so fast without even realizing. Because this round, if you had your ult, could be a completely different round. We'll see if there's a chance that you could have potentially used it. This is again why Brimstone's a weaker pick, because now you're at a point where if they go A, you're really like screwed. If they don't commit here, which is very likely when they're smoked off at 115, if they go A, you cannot retake any of these bomb sites with no smokes, really. So you had the guy drone. If you'd had your ult, you could have ulted him out the cubby.
Yeah.
I would also be very I'm I don't care if I have to throw away. Like worst case scenario, if I feel the need, like it's a good idea to use my first two smokes. Just like it being like a little bit of a good idea is enough to make me use it. But the last smoke has to be like an do or die situation. Like if I don't drop this smoke, we're gonna lose around it. There's no chance of a retake. I'm very what's the word? Tight with my last smoke. I really won't want to give it away for no reason. Chamber's not even putting his alarm bot down. Garage or B. Go in Heaven. You can't go Heaven as Brim for the same reason you can't go Hookah really as Brim,
Yeah.
but it's worse. You can't entry on the ground. So the only characters who can really retake from Heaven are Jet, Raze, Omen, white characters with a wall, characters with a flash. Brimstone, like it's really hard for you to go here. That guy's just over peaking. It was unlucky. I just felt like you kind of lost the round the second you went to go Heaven.
I 100% knew that I started losing my composure in this game.
That's tough because it's such a close game. Like you're still winning at this point. That's really tough. This knife, you can pull out your knife so much. Goes actually really well for you here, but you overheat. Like if you could replay this in like your like yourself, like if you could freeze it, you would 100% just jump out to see a link here.
Yeah.
But here you're like kind of in that like it's unlucky the way you die, but yeah, like you definitely could have got out of there if you were to like pause and decide what you should have done based on that. Like you got your 2 kills, you still got your ult. Just jump out to A link and ult the bomb if you wanted. Free round. You actually end up losing that round as well.
Yeah.
Though that's not directly your fault, you could have done more to ensure you like guarantee the round. But this is what I mean about Brim on defense. You literally have nothing. Like it's a really hard to win. Not really much you can do if they like play slow and burn out your smokes. As well on this map as they just know where you are they know like roughly where you are. They can pin you down to like 2 bomb sites based on where you smoke. So obviously if you smoke A lobby, doesn't know where you're C. If you're C, doesn't know where if you smoke C, doesn't know where you can be A. You know what I mean? And players in this rank won't pick up on that, by the way. But it's just like a general like thing to consider. You
Yeah.
might get the odd player that might pick up on that. Well, like that now if you go into another game, so you can track the Brimstone a lot easier. I wouldn't invest my ult. It's a hard one because you are on eco round, but it's also very winnable. The problem is that this ult isn't really doing anything because you want kills, right? So what
Yeah.
I would suggest is move this ult way over to the left. So if you had ulted, it depends what you're trying to achieve. I personally wouldn't have ulted here, but if you ulted like this, you force them and then you held the angle like here, you force them to either come out into your crosshair or die garage.
Yeah.
They have to make a decision instantly, otherwise they die.
I
Because of
I
the ult.
think I think I remember this round. I think it was one of those things where I thought that they were already out,
Mhm.
and I thought that I would be able to at least prevent more from coming out.
Do you want me to show you another way that you could do similar ult to what you did, but use it better? Ult
Yeah.
like, so you'd say the ult was something like this, right?
Yeah.
Then position behind it in logs. Use
Okay.
it as a smoke. And then the second it fades, you go here, and they know that spot's just been ulted, so there's no way they expect it. So you use it to get better positioning. So
Okay.
you can like literally just using it as a smoke. And then the second you commit over to the right side of site, you're literally done. You can't like I would have even considered leaving, playing the retake if you wanted, anything like that. But I definitely wouldn't have wanted to commit over to the right side of site. My general rule on Haven is you don't want to play on none of the bomb sites except arguably B. Do you want to be playing solo? But if you do happen to be like when it comes down to executing, so you might start here and here, but by the time they come in, you should be a pair. But my rule is that you never want to be over past this side of the site on this left half if you're solo. So playing here if you're solo's troll, playing here if you're solo's troll, and all of here. Like it's too hard because you got no plan B.
Yeah.
If they come in, you can't leave. Unless you're got the only time you could do something like this and justify it is if you're playing Omen and you know that if they do anything you're gonna smoke here, or if you are playing whatever agent and you have an Astra on your team that has a star doing the exact same thing. That's the only way you could get away with playing here, but solo. It's just hard because there's no real good position for you to play. Something little that I would do here that you didn't do is I'd flick around and just look at what the astral is. Just look at the line. Because you hear the astral, but you don't know exactly what line it is. So it's just like a little thing that like I would do differently. I want you to consider the fact here. I mean, this is pretty lost. It's lost at this point, no matter what you do, really. But you could potentially jump out of this onto this box, and they don't have the sound cue. I mean, they would because they're under heaven. It's kind of like just a real tough situation. You go heaven again, you can't really do anything. Potentially, if you had gone CT, you could have like smoked here and just went, used it to isolate whichever side you wanted to go on,
Yeah.
like running through the edges. But the second you're here, like there's no way you can retake. But 2v5, it wouldn't matter where you go. You pretty much could lose that round. Because when you commit as an anchor on Brim, it's what I'm saying. So like if you go C, you're gambling they don't rush A because you can't counter smoke A. Same thing when you play A, and you've been punished for that a few times on this game. You're very good at holding down B though, which if you are going to continue playing Brim, definitely stay B. Like B is your bomb, so you can kind of lock it down because you're quick enough to rotate smoke both bomb sites, so you're far like you can still do
That's enough.
the job of the controller. And then I'm assuming it might go overtime actually. But this isn't so bad. But again, you kind of get your knife and then you go to leave, but you go leave the wrong way. Like you can't really leave the bomb site at all on B, but you could have went backwards. So you have
Mm.
the right thought process of you got a kill and you want to get out, but you don't apply it properly. Like you don't do.
Yeah, I think this just ties down to like decision making as well.
I think you're really like just lost a lot of focus here by this point. I think the second like you can see it in your gameplay, you can see the different. Like you can hear like you're a bit more annoyed because there's been some silly mistakes from your team. You've not had a chance in some of the rounds. You're probably a bit annoyed at yourself because you probably realise you made maybe some mistakes that you shouldn't have. Last sort of like concept that I'll get into is when you're smoking this. So let's just put this down. So when you are smoking here, so this is like for the retake. So you do a good smoke here, but I've seen a lot of people that will smoke like this for some reason. I just want to explain the logic just so you know exactly what it is. Is when you smoke with overhang like this as a defender, you'd obviously want to do it if you're closer. You have to hold basically sort of like this box that I'm doing of
Yeah.
like angles. Obviously, when you hold here, the box of angles you have to hold are smaller. But one of the potential, so that's why you should smoke like this. However, the only exception to that would be if you are gonna smoke like this, and your plan is to hold to like funnel them again out of this side of the smoke because you're holding it. So like here was an opportunity for you to do that. Because you're on the bomb site by yourself, I personally would have just played retake.
Okay.
But it's ranked, But if you had smoked, like the problem when you've done this smoke now is that because you can't hold, unless you're planning to hold this area, there's no point smoking like this. Like you're better off to smoke like this.
Okay.
So if you can't hold this line, then you should smoke with overhang because what you want to do is it gives you a chance to like isolate 1v1s where you have no chance of isolating 1v1s here because
Yeah.
they're all coming through this point.
Okay.
But you can separate them.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
So what if you had smoked up, you could have went either here and held the right side, or you could have went over here and held the left side. But this is a really good position to stand in. Like when you're backside, so like when you're around this area and you're sort of looking either side, it's a really comfy position. I personally would have taken the space of the guy I killed, so I would have killed him and went forward, taken the space that I
Yeah.
got from killing him, as opposed to like coming back. because in an ideal world, when you're here, you're exposed to less angles, so it's easier, and you've killed one of the guys, so there's going to be, less chance of there being more enemies there. But I'm assuming this guy doesn't go over time and you lose.
No, we lose this.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope that this game was enjoyable. I hope this was enjoyable for you and
No, it was
learn a lot.
enjoyable. I feel like I learned a lot more, and I feel like it's something that I can apply to what I'm doing now. And you've explained it in a way where it's so easy. It's so easy to understand, at least from my perspective.
No, that's really helpful. I really appreciate that.
Um,
I'd,
out
yeah.
out of curiosity, what did you peak? I don't think I checked.
So I've got like for some reason on my tracker it says Immortal 3, but I
Yeah,
don't really play too much rank. But I literally have, if you want, I've got Radiant Gun Buddy, so I don't know why it says that.
yeah.
I'll show
It's
it.
because I don't. I mean, apart from what I've read, like on the Metafy and what I've seen on your Discord, I don't really know
Mhm.
too much about yourself.
No, so I don't really play. I'm not really a ranked. Like I don't play a load of ranked because I'm
Yeah,
either coaching or I'm scrimming. So like the more better thing than my peak. Like if someone asked me for stuff about me or like what level I am, I would just link my. Do you know the website VLR?
yeah,
So I've got a VLR profile. Um, I've got my own Liquipedia.
yeah.
Like that.
Because I
That's
did
the type
see
of
that
stuff I look.
you scrimmed and whatnot, so I was like, that was why I specifically chose you, because you would have more of an insight in terms of like a professional level, even though it can't apply too much in rank games. It's just something that I want to be able to
Do you
learn.
do you want to see my biggest flex?
Yeah, go for it.
I hope you
Oh,
know the other people.
I do. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I know about this game.
No, it wasn't. It was in a scrim, to be fair. Like when they boot camped over, because obviously based in UK, so
Yeah, no,
EUs they came
but
over.
I think there was, I don't know if it was a leak or it was just something that someone released whereby I heard that 100T got stomped when they were boot camping or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's probably something that was spoken about. Because we weren't exactly like super randoms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're on the kind of come up at this point with that
Okay.
team.
No,
But
that's
yeah,
a big flex.
that's my favorite screenshot. I don't normally screenshot prac, but those are people that I like, and I haven't posted that anywhere. It's only like I only had it to like joke about my friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like they're obviously big names. It's not the same like scrim like the tier one EU teams, but it's not the same as like when like Steel was my favorite player from CS. Same as like I really liked Ethan Nitro.
Yeah.
Wasn't really a Hiko fan, but yeah.
Um. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I learned so much today in what, an hour and a half. I feel like I learned so much.
No, that's I appreciate that.
What other kind of coaching things do you do? Like, because I went specifically for the IGL thing, but I didn't really check on the other ones.
So I normally do like live sessions.
Yeah.
My most popular thing that has the most success is I have like training plans that I
Right.
do. So basically they're normally like they range from, well, where are they from then? It's like I've got ones that are like 3.5 hours all the way up to like 15. And then I have an option to do custom tailored ones based on like what the people want to achieve. But basically, I just do a plan and I sort of help them reach their goals, and we kind of come up with like a fair sort of price for like the hours and stuff like that. And we'll meet like so say they book 6 hours, we might meet an hour a week for 6 weeks,
Yeah.
or we might meet 2 hours a week for 3 weeks, or we might meet an hour and a half a week for 4 weeks. All of those things. They're my most successful things, my most popular plans,
Okay.
and that's what I do. That's where I see most of my results. But I do obviously do like like one-off sessions, all that type of stuff.
Okay. It's just helpful for whenever I do want to consider it. Sure.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't think there's any other questions. I think you've pretty much just covered what I've been kind of looking for in terms of answers.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely a pleasure.
Yeah, I guess it's just time for me to go into rank games and just kind of apply it now.
Yeah, let me know if you've got any questions anytime. If you like finish the session, and I know you might be like I've said a lot of stuff, so you're probably thinking about that, and then it might be like in a day or whatever, you might be like, oh, I wish I asked that, just drop me a message.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a
It's
good.
absolutely a pleasure.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah. You too.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Wow. I learned so much in that session. Wow, I learned so fucking much. Fuck. By the way, fuck you, Jared. No, but this, because look, this is the kind of this is the kind of stuff that I wanted to learn, like compared to Prowl, because I know with Prowl is more of like, Prowl's a duelist, like we know that for sure. He's a fragger, so his like his coaching sessions would have been like more tailored towards like the fragging aspect of it, whereas me, I'm a support player. Like I want to be able to IGL and stuff like that. And like even then, even with the way he was like speaking about how to IGL and like in terms of comms and stuff and decision making, like he still commented on my gameplay and how to improve like my gameplay and my mechanics, and it just helps so much. Like I feel like I just had learned a whole new dimension to like playing controller, playing Brim. Like holy shit! Like I learned so much. Like I think if I didn't have this coaching session, like I don't think I would have improved at all. Like I feel like now there's so much more for me to learn, and so much more for me to kind of just break down in terms of my own gameplay. But yeah, if you guys, because he streams on Twitch as well, I'm pretty sure. His name is Benzki Val. So if you guys want to check him out, go for it. But yeah, he's been amazing. Yo, Ben, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. Your advice has been, your coaching has been amazing. Like seriously, I think I learned so much in an hour and a half that I've probably learned my whole Valorant career. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, follow Ben. Because I watched some of his VODs and he's pretty informative. Like it's actually crazy. Yes, I do have to. No problem, no problem. Just send me a DM and I'll. The only thing is you might have to cut it and whatnot to get just the coaching session. But yeah, go for it. Just send me a DM whenever you want it, and I'll just download the VOD and send it to you. No problem. But yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, if I can split it in Twitch, I'll split it for you, and then okay. Yeah. What? I'll have a look into it. If I can split it, I'll split it, and then just let me know whenever, and I'll send it over to you. Appreciate it, Ben. Hopefully we have some future coaching sessions together. But yeah, give Ben a follow. He was amazing. Like he was amazing the whole session. Like I cannot be thankful enough. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. It was a really enjoyable session. I didn't expect to learn so much, but I learned crazy amount. And hopefully I can apply it in my next Val games. But yeah, peace guys. Appreciate you guys for stopping by with the stream. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Ben. Thank you. All right, see you guys. Yeah, there's a discount code. Anyone want it? I'll just make sure to save it. Whatever, do whatever you need to do. But yeah, I'm gonna let everything process and then I'll play Val whenever. But yeah, take care, guys.